I'm Mark Knowlton, the CEO and founder of TechScreen. We're going to talk today about the biggest pain point in IT recruiting. Now, the HR tech world has been injecting AI into all kinds of products, but so many of them focus on automating some kind of workflow process for recruiters. Now, those are fine, they have their place, but they're ignoring the elephant in the room. Managers do not trust submittals. It's not because they think ill of recruiters, but they're not technical. We're talking about people who make every other decision on the job with data, with evidence that they can reproduce and measure. Let's talk about providing data that builds trust. There's evidence of a lack of trust all across the process. Now, we don't need to explain the Pareto principle on why most of your subs and most of your job orders are coming from a handful of your people. But how about revenue distribution? Too much of your revenue is coming from too few sources. And if you want to see proof of a lack of trust, we ran a poll earlier this year. We asked managers, how long are you reading a resume before you say next? 3/4 of them aren't even getting 30 seconds. It's because they're not reading the resumes. They're just doing a scan for buzzwords. And so the result is that a vast majority of your efforts is getting lit on fire. Now, the TechServe Alliance has been tracking KPIs for 25 years. And this is just from a standard, one of their annual operating reports. In this particular year, the sub to start ratio was 13-1. That is like pulling an ace out of a deck of cards. Earlier in my career, I was working in an agency and had a manager at a major telco bragging about his 95% knockout ratio. I had a candidate who hadn't written code in 4 years. Now, you'd think that that candidate was a hopeless cause. But you know what? Even this cocky manager, when confronted with actual evidence, had to pay attention to it. I was able to convince this cocky manager who bragged about their team's high knockout ratio to talk to this candidate because I showed actual evidence that this person was worth their time. So even managers like this edge case, cocky manager, couldn't ignore hardcore evidence, and this candidate produced a $22,000 fee. Somebody most recruiters in their right mind wouldn't have called in 100 years. Now, I realize that's an edge case example, but you can get there quicker than you think, but it's just going to take a little work. Now, work is a methodology I devised to help extract the information that lets you define the deliverables of a job. And it works like an acronym. The W of work. What are you building? Seems pretty basic, but it is the anchor of the job description. The O of work. What objective or outcome are you expecting from a business perspective? See, candidates care deeply about what their work represents. You've got to be able to talk in substance about what the application does, the problem it solves. The R of work. What are the key technical requirements? Finally, we get to the stack. But this is unfortunately where most managers start the conversation. They treat recruiters like they're Pavlov's dog, consciously or unconsciously, thinking, okay, they need to know a bunch of buzzwords to go chasing. You have to be able to define what you're building and what the purpose is before you even get to the stack. And then the K of work, what key attributes would separate two equally qualified candidates, the soft skills. This gives you a repeatable, simple template that's going to let you extract the right information that's going to produce a superior job description. But work by itself isn't the solution. You have to plug it into a larger framework. And in this case, our solution delivery framework is screening as a service, a repeatable process that's designed to create and establish trust with the manager, right? This turns work into a process operating system. And when put in practice, it creates true alignment between sales and recruiting, which is one of those white whale aspirations that most staffing companies talk about, but almost never do. So this is what it looks like. So we start by actually arming the AEs with material that's going to help them get way more meetings. We actually create branded marketing content. We have manager testimonial videos where they're talking on camera specifically about how the information in a Veranalysis report actually gives them confidence to move candidates forward. And then we train the AEs on the use of AI Verify so they can actually do live demos for the manager to generate a Veranalysis report right in front of their face. And then in that job intake call, we extract the deliverables. And then our AI takes a description and uses it to create an interview based on the deliverables defined in that job. And then using a schedule and calendar link, you'll book your candidate to speak with our solution architects who are going to use AI Verified to screen all of your candidates. And that's going to produce the Analysis report. It's going to be a detailed write-up that looks like a dev manager spent 90 minutes writing it. And it's going to be a blueprint for your candidate's competence to execute the deliverables for that specific job. And then we harvest your ATS. We can screen every single candidate who applies for those jobs because you simply don't have the time to. We can pound out technical interviews in 10 to 15 minutes at a pop. This way you have a repeatable process where sales and recruiting are working together. But the most important thing is you're establishing credibility with the manager. So getting better engagement with the manager is going to solve the load balancing problem. But earning trust has to be the AE's top priority because SaaS gives you a repeatable process to do this. And the AEs have to be focused on doing the demo and blowing the manager away by generating their analysis report dynamically. And because we can screen every candidate, we're going to give you evidence with every single one of your submittals. And wouldn't it be nice just once to have a lights out answer to the question, what makes you guys different? Well, we've actually partnered with an AI pioneer, and their solution architects are using an AI interview platform to screen every one of our candidates. And so the reports you're getting look like you or someone from your team wrote it. So it all comes down to establishing trust. You cannot earn the manager's trust without data. Repeatable results. Screening as a service gives you the framework and the tools and the process to deliver trust with every single submittal. There's a link at the end of this video. Click it and let's get going.